Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bunny Cakes, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel for the first time. Today I am going to be reviewing The Final Weekend, A Stoned Tale by Neal Cassidy. I received a free copy of this book in exchange for an honest review and as part of a book tour that was so graciously organized by Eric over at Break Even Books. So, Neal Cassidy is an American writer who grew up in Forest, Virginia. He's an ex-tennis pro, and he also spent his winters competing in big air and slopestyle competitions on skis. After years of an undiscerning lifestyle, he decided to put his experiences into his first novel, which is The Final Weekend. He does his best writing at home while listening to Tchaikovsky at a low volume with hot black tea, frozen chocolate fruits, and some recreational uh, um, smoking materials. So this book, it's a really interesting book. It's humor, it's adult. Um, so the blurb is, in the last days before the real world, 6 college friends prepare to take a bow in epic fashion. After Sunday, there's just Harry, the future business owner, Justin, the medical intern, Trent, the hapless wanderer, and Clarence, soon to don the badge and blues. But now they have years of memories to honor, all packed into one weekend. Will they grow into their new adult roles? Will they go out in style with the girls? Will the 4 of them even survive the sheer level of debauchery? Living in an apartment paid for by the grandma, an ex-hooker turned millionaire, Courtney and Ling Ling couldn't be more opposite, yet are completely inseparable. Courtney and Harry have been hooking up for years, neither able to commit, but their imminent separation is about to test that arrangement, and Ling Ling's never-ending reciprocated crush on Justin just might become more than that. Their lives intersect with that of Professor Goodcat, their idolized instructor who never quite left college himself. In Goodcat we find the consequence of getting to live out a hedonist fantasy and the possibility for change in anyone. Hilarious, raunchy, and uninhibited, The Final Weekend, A Stone Tale captures a contemporary society while chronicling the dreams, regrets, perspectives, and future after youth in an unbroken sequence of shockingly touching exploits. No longer armed with the excuse of college stupidity, these friends will go on a journey with higher stakes than a night out has ever had, because there are things about themselves that blacking out can't erase. So this was, I really enjoyed reading this book. It bounces back and forth between the perspectives of all of the characters. So it doesn't have chapters. It's just, you're looking at this one, and then it switches to the next one, but it's notated by the name of the character that you're looking at. It also has flashbacks, which are denoted because they're in italics, which helps you keep track of where you're reading. Sometimes I can find that sort of character perspective switching and such distracting, but in this it was well done, and I think it really worked for the story. So you really got to know every character on a personal level, and you got really behind them. Now, there is a lot of sex, a lot of drinking, and a lot of recreational drug use in this book. It's, as I said before, it's humor, it's satire, so it's kind of poking fun at the whole thing. But it's also got some good messages as well. One of my favorite things about the book was actually that, like, everybody is having sex. The men, the women, the grandma, everybody. And nobody is shamed for it. Like, even with masturbation and stuff like that, it's all just handled in a really well done manner. There are some really well described raunchy moments. And as far as description, there are times where this author got really, really descriptive when it wasn't always necessary. So you have even the most mundane things sometimes are described at a really high, intricate level. And sometimes that's a bit distracting, but once you get used to it, you kind of see what the author's going for. I think while there are problematic things with some of the characters, like, there are a few moments where the male characters are kind of not exactly PC. There's a moment where a couple of the guys are looking at this girl who's not quite sober and not quite able to walk in the heels she's wearing, and the guys make some comments about her, which I found were a bit problematic, but for the most part, like, it's poking fun at things, so I can kind of see how that was also poking fun at that kind of toxic masculinity. I really like the way the characters interact. Like, you have Clarence and this one friend of Lingling and Courtney that he is super into. So for a lot of the book, he's asking Courtney and Lingling, where's your friend? And they're poking fun at him because he seems to be so attracted to her. And then there's Schroeder and his girlfriend and their dynamic. It's quite interesting. Schroeder is very much, he's a high school, or not a high school, he's a college student that's graduated and he's got a job now, but he's selling drugs. He's the dealer, and so he's still tied up in this college lifestyle as well. And his girlfriend, while she's supportive in a lot of ways, she also comes off as kind of controlling, domineering, and like there might be some mommy issues there. And then there's the whole interplay between Justin and Lingling, and they're very much the couple where you're like, all right, just kiss already, and all of the friends very much feel that way too. And then you have, there's also the dichotomy, so there's a lot of drinking and drugging and everything, but there's also, like, Ling is very fastidious, and there's this moment where she talks about her father basically disowned her because he caught her using a calculator on her math homework. She's very all about being on time and having time to study and having very good grades while also partying. And then there's Courtney, who is kind of almost in a situation where she's like kind of like a rich girl trust fund situation, but also she grew up poor. And I think my absolute favorite character that we don't get enough of is the grandma. Oh my god, she is the best. She's an ex-hooker. She's a millionaire now. She came up. She is sassy. She's salty. She's sex positive. She's a sugar mama. There's just everything about her is just so amazing. I think that Mr. Cassidy could write a whole book on the grandma, and I would eat it up with a spoon. I need more characters like her. I love, at one point they go out to lunch, Courtney and Lingling and the grandma, and some old friends who knew her from before come up and talk, well, not friends, more like frenemies. They come up and talk to her, and there is some hardcore sass between them. And also at lunch, the grandma's flirting with the waiter, and it's just everything that I wanted from a scene like that, and I want so much more from this character. I wish we had gotten more. And I mean, Harry is an awesome character, and his relationship with Justin and how they became friends is really cool. They're very much like brothers. They're the same age, but Harry very much seems to feel like a big brother for Justin, and so he takes care of him, and he defends him, and he helps him out with life, and it's a really adorable bromance, and some of the other characters have that kind of romance too, and it's, I couldn't have enjoyed this book more. It's not a book that's normally within the realm of books that I read. You all know that I tend to be more horror and true crime, but this one was really, really, really interesting. I couldn't stop reading it. I read it in a couple of sittings. I will say the end caught me entirely off guard, to the extent that I was quietly reading. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning because, I don't sleep. And I got to the end of it, and I didn't realize I was at the end of it because the PDF I had, the page numbers hadn't synced, so I couldn't tell exactly which page I was on for the end of the book. And I got to the end, and the final thing that happens, which I'm not going to say because it would be a total spoiler, I read it, and I realized it was the last page, and I was just like, WTF, and I said it out loud. I said it really loud, woke up my fiance, scared my cat. So yeah, it was a whole moment, very surprising. I wish there had been a little bit more at the end, but also, like, totally didn't expect that. Or, well, I take that back. My horror brain the whole time kept trying to kick in and be like, something bad's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen, because that's what always happens in the books that I read. Everything's going well until it's not. But I kept brushing that aside. So finally I had convinced myself that nothing bad was going to happen, and everybody was going to go off into their adult lives, and nothing else major was going to happen. Boy, was I wrong. It's a huge surprise, shock ending. Totally didn't expect it from the book description or from the genre or anything. I will also say that there were some points that had me rolling. There were some really funny points. Lesson learned about what you're looking at on your phone when you're trying to text your grandma. And things like that, especially when you're drunk. I mean, not that I text when I'm drunk, because I don't get drunk. And I don't text a lot either, or whatever. But, I highly recommend this book. I believe I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It might have been 4 out of 5 stars, because I was still feeling a bit iffy on some of the extreme detail on occasion. But there's also, like with Professor Goodcat, there is some character growth. And you can see from the flashbacks that there's character growth for the other characters too. It's, I definitely recommend it. It's a fun read. It can be a quick read. And again, that surprise ending, man, you are not ready for that. But that's all I have for this review. I really loved this book. Another book where I got lucky and got at least a 4 out of 5 stars, or maybe a 5 out of 5 stars. In this moment, I feel 5 out of 5 stars. I don't remember what I put on Goodreads. And again, thank you, Eric, for organizing this book tour. I really loved it. I'm going to link Neal's social media and Eric's social medias and the links to the rest of the book tour down below, so that everybody can go check out there's blog posts and YouTube posts and Instagram posts part of this book tour, and as well as the book tour dates. I'm actually the second to the last stop on this book tour, but I recommend you backtrack and look at everybody else's posts as well. Oof. One of these days I'm going to learn to speak English properly. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.